Good morning, dear student. How are you today? Hope you're fine and safe all the time. Today, in this lecture and in the later lectures, we are going to solve applications related to the lessons that we take previously, from transcription to translation to the DNA. يعني كل شيء أخذناه بالمحور السابق رح نحل عليهم applications. Okay? Let's start. Application 1. The document 1 shows the nucleotide sequence of the DNA molecule as well as the corresponding peptide sequence, the peptide 1 of the normal individual. The same peptide, peptide 2, is shown for another abnormal individual. So here we have the document 1, here we have the DNA molecule, here we have peptide 1 and peptide 1 it's a sequence of طبعا of amino acid as you know, and peptide 2 كمان sequence of amino acid. Peptide 1 belong to normal individual while peptide 2 belong to abnormal individual. If you take a look at peptide 1, here we have phenylalanine, cysteine, histidine, valine, alanine, and cysteine. In the peptide 2, here we have phenylalanine, serine. So here, this is the difference between peptide 1 and peptide 2. Here we have cysteine, while here we have serine. Histidine, histidine, valine, valine, alanine, alanine, cysteine, cysteine. So the main difference is in amino acid 2. Here we have cysteine. It is replaced by serine in peptide 2. برجع بعيد peptide 1 for normal individual while peptide 2 for abnormal individual. Complete the other strand of the given molecule of the DNA. Here the DNA, we have to complete the other strand. It's very simple. ال A أكيد T T T T G، يعني مطرح ال A complementary اللي إلها T T T T G C and so on. You know it, all of you. Question 2. Schematize the open DNA molecule double strand for the first 4 nucleotide. So we have to take the first 4 nucleotide يعني A, and we have to schematize the open DNA molecule. So in this way أكيد نحن بنعرف هون كنا نحط phosphate sugar، بلا ما نرسم هيدي الرسمة بنحط بس S يعني sugar و A، ننزل phosphate sugar A، phosphate sugar A، phosphate sugar A. أخذنا أول 4 نيوكليوتايد لأنه هو قال لي the first 4 نيوكليوتايد، وعملنا الكومبلمنتري اللي إلها. طبعا هيدي الرسمة نحن بنعرفها وما ضروري نعمل labeling لأنه نحن عارفين إنه هيدا nitrogenous base، هيدا the deoxyribose sugar, and here we have the phosphate. Now in document 2 shows 2 forms of given peptide. One of these 2 forms belong to peptide 1 and the other belong to peptide 2. So we have 2 peptide in form A and form B. واحد منهم لform A أو form B belong to peptide 1، واحد منهم كمان belong to peptide 2, and we are going to guess which one belong to peptide 1 and which one belong to peptide 2. قال لي اللي لونه هيدا الأسود أمينو أسيد اللي هو cysteine، و here we have the other amino acid. طبعا إذا نحن بنعرف يا مس بنرجع لهون، في عنا 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 أمينو أسيد، وهون لازم يطلعوا كمان 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6، وهون كمان 6 أمينو أسيد. هون الأمينو أسيد cysteine في عنا منه 2 بفورم A. بفورم B we have only 1 cysteine. طيب هون يا مس ببيبتايد 1 كم cysteine في عنا؟ ها 1 وها 2، وببيبتايد 2 في عنا only one cysteine. يعني أنا لحالي بعرف طالما هون في 2 cysteine معناته it belong to peptide 1 هيدا belong to peptide 2. The first question, name the two types of bond, not bonds here teacher, bond X and Y shown in document 2. So the bond here between two cysteine, if you remember, it's called the disulfide bridge, while the bond between two amino acids, it's the peptide bond. So bond X, it's disulfide bridge. Bond Y, it's called the peptide bond. Relate each of the two peptide bond 1 and 2 of the document 1 to the corresponding form A or B on the document 2. يعني بدك تقولوا لي form A belong to peptide 1 belong to peptide 1 ولا peptide 2 والform B belong to peptide 1 ولا peptide 2. قلنا حسب عدد السيستين. طالما هون في 2 سيستين معناته البيبتايد 1 belong to form A وطالما هون في 1 cysteine معناته peptide 2 belong to form B. So the form A is related to peptide 1 since the peptide 1 include 2 cysteine amino acid as the form of A مثل ال A, and the form B related to peptide 2 since the peptide 2 include only 1 cysteine as the form B. Now the question is specify which one of the two forms A and B is active. In your opinion أي واحد active أي واحد functional أي واحد شغال ال A ولا ال B؟ أكيد نحن لازم نعرف لأنه نحن أخذنا من قبل in order for the enzyme or the hormone or any protein to be functional it must have a three-dimensional shape. أي اللي عنده three-dimensional shape form A ولا form B؟ Of course it's form A because of the disulfide bridges, while form B it's linear, no disulfide bridges here, so it's not functional. So the form A is active form since it has a 3D shape given by مين اللي عملها 3D shape? The disulfide bridges that is found between the two cysteine amino acid. Question 6, explain how the change of of the sequence of peptide 1 lead to the change of its activity. يعني sequence of peptide 1 هذا البيبتايد 1 leads to the change of its activity. The change of the sequence of peptide 1 by replacing the cysteine amino acid by serine amino acid leads to the change of a three-dimensional structure by losing its disulfide bridge. This leads in turn to the change of its activity. لأنه يا مس فعليا قلنا ببيبتايد 2 لأنه في عنا 1 cysteine only والcysteine الثاني كانت replaced by serine amino acid. So لأنه في سيرين ما في عنا cysteine تاني so ما رح يكون في عنا disulfide bridges between two cysteine لأنه فعليا في عنا only one cysteine. Because of that ما رح يكون في عنده هيدا البيبتايد 3D أو 3-dimensional shape. Because of that it will be not functional so its activity will change. Okay. بس هيدا هو الكويستشن. طبعا في documents مش غلط نرسمهم ونكتبهم مش صعبين ابدا اذا رسمنا هيك documents يعني فينا نرسمهم عادي. بدي منكم تكتبوها على دفتر البيولوجي او بدكم تصوروه وتلزقوه. المهم يكون فعليا موجود على دفتر البيولوجي. Okay, thank you all for watching.